So the current match is piponeer versus shotapero. This is going to be the second to the last match. There was one match that was played that wasn't recorded, and that was shotapero versus Delta, and Delta ended up taking that one 50-40. Besides that one match, shotapero's won every other match that he's played in the league, so he's 3-1. Piponeer is 2-1, and he still has this match and one more match against Kumachome to play. Shotapero is sending a 3-chain, and it's going to get countered by a 5-chain. Shotapero sends a follow-up 3-chain, but it's not going to be enough, and he has to send his main chain. Piponeer has a lot of time, but his 4 might not be good enough to counter. He's going to try and send it. We'll have to see if it's enough. And the tail doesn't quite connect, so it's not going to be enough. And shotapero takes the first point. For now, they have identical openings. And still haven't changed. They finally changed now. Piponeer can set up a 2 or 3 chain. Shotapero has a 2 chain as well. Can make a 2 double, but he covers it. Piponeer makes a 2 chain on the left side. He still has a 2 chain or a 3 chain. 2 chain on the right side. He clears a big single instead. Shotapero's got a big attack coming, but Piponeer sends his main chain first. It's going to stop quickly though. Shotapero has to set up his chain soon, and he does. But is it going to be good enough? It's 4 triple and then a 5 chain, and it's almost even, but he's out of Puyo, and Piponeer still has a bunch of Puyo left on his field, and he's sending what he can now. Shotapero's not going to have time to build a big enough chain, and Piponeer gets the win. All clear start this time. And they both clear the bonus immediately, so now it's a normal match. I've probably mentioned this before, but Piponeer likes to play without splitting Puyo. If you watch how he plays his Puyo, it's pretty impressive because he does it very well. Shotapero's not going to be able to counter this attack, and Piponeer gets another point. Shotapero could be setting up a 2 double, but he doesn't send it. They both have right side transitions. Piponeer is going to send a 2 double of his own. Shotapero is not going to draw what he needs to counter, and he's just going to fill up. Piponeer's on a 3-win streak for now, 3-1. Shotapero's got left side GTR. Piponeer is not splitting Puyo as always. He clears the single though, and it gets countered by a 2 chain. And Piponeer gets a good amount of garbage. And a follow-up attack from Shotapero. Piponeer draws what he needs to counter just in time, but this is a 6 chain. It might be using too much. Shotapero goes into his main chain, but his is only 6 as well. Now Piponeer's probably got the win just by setting off his chain. Shotapero gets a counter by only 1 line, but Piponeer had a big chain left over, and he sent it to win. So 4-win streak now from Piponeer. I think one of the reasons why Piponeer doesn't really use GTR very often is because a lot of times you have to split Puyo to get the form down, and he tries not to do that. 4 chain is set up from Piponeer, but he connects his main chain now. 2 chain from Shotapero. Piponeer has to receive the garbage, but he's lucky to not get the greens covered, so he can still play. And another 2 chain goes in favor of Shotapero. Piponeer gets more garbage and is forced to set off his full chain right now. Shotapero is going to have a lot of time to extend it in any way he can, but he doesn't have a lot of space to work with. And he doesn't seem to be getting the colors he wants either. And he can't do anything. He tried to extend one more, but then he just couldn't get anything he needed to extend with. And he couldn't get the colors he was expecting. So it's now a 5-win streak from piponeer. The best result so far is 4-1 by Saki, who's already done all of his matches. Piponeer has a chance to go 4-1 as well if he wins the last two, and he's off to a hot start here. Looks like Piponeer's just going to send his main chain if there's a purple in the left column, but I didn't see if he placed it. It's not a purple, actually, it's a red, so this isn't a full chain. Stops at 9, and shotapero can't set off his chain in time. And piponeer gets the win. It's so common to just see the players always have the right color there that it's possible that he intentionally didn't place it to do it as a trick play or something like that. And shotapero might have just assumed it was going to be there. Another all-clear start transitioned into a normal game this time. 2-chain from shotapero is going to cause a lot of problems for piponeer, but his blues don't get covered. But shotapero is again attacking with small attacks, and it's going to cause piponeer to fill up almost. He still has a chance. He can't get the greens in time, and shotapero gets the point. There's some well-timed small attacks where shotapero didn't really send that much in his attacks, but it was at a point where piponeer really couldn't afford to receive any garbage at all, and he couldn't counter either, so then he ended up filling up. Nothing's been sent. Shotapero sends the first single, and piponeer sends a 2-chain, but shotapero's got a 3-chain counter. Piponeer might have to send his main chain. No, he tries to receive the garbage for now. He can start with a blue and a blue, but instead he's looking to send a 2-chain, but he found a different way to start his main chain because shotapero was sending a 3-chain to counter the 2-chain. So piponeer was able to transition out of the 2-chain. Piponeer's main chain is 11. Shotapero sends his main chain pretty quickly and it looks like 10 double. It is 10 double, and I don't think it's going to be enough. It's not enough. Shotapero needed a little bit more there. He had the time, but he thought he had enough already, but it ended up not quite being strong enough. 7-2 now in piponeer's favor. Shotapero is also on 3-1 in the league, so if he wins this one, he would go to 4-1 to tie Saki in win-loss. A big single from piponeer this time sends about 2 lines, and shotapero's form is kind of rough. He might have to send a 4-chain soon, but he keeps extending upwards, and I think he's connected his main chain. Let's see if piponeer's ready to counter with his main chain. Piponeer does have a main chain going, so it's going to depend on who has the bigger chain. It's 11 from shotapero. It's going to be 11 from piponeer as well. It's going to depend on the power, and piponeer's got more power. And piponeer gets another point. We've got the scores open on the side, and I don't know if shotapero would be able to catch up because of the win-loss differential in points. So if 2 players are tied in win-loss, then it depends on how many points they've won and lost over all their matches. So shotapero would have to have a huge win over piponeer, like plus 30 or something like that. Piponeer sending a 3-chain. It's going to get countered. Shotapero's chain is a bit unusual, but it does connect all the way down. Piponeer also has an unusual chain, and he's got it to connect all the way too. 10 from shotapero, 8 from piponeer, but the 8 chain is stronger with all the power in there. That's another thing I always find impressive is that, like, piponeer's chain was 2 links shorter, but because of all the multi-matches in there, it ended up being stronger than the 10 chain anyway. And piponeer is now up 9-2. Piponeer could be looking at a first place finish if he can win big enough in his last 2. And he's doing a good job for it now. shotapero connects his main chain instead of leaving off a key Puyo. But he can make it 2 chain? No, he just clears a single for now, and piponeer clears a single, but it gets countered by a 3 chain. And piponeer can't draw a green, but it doesn't fill up because he draws a blue. And he's going to draw a green now, but he doesn't want to send that. shotapero is going into his main chain. Piponeer has to convert this into his main chain, but it looks tough. I don't know if he can do it. He needs a green and a yellow, and he just can't quite get the colors he needs. It's 9-3 now. We've got right side transition from shotapero. He needs a lot of yellows on the right side, though, to get his chain to work. They both clear singles for now. Piponeer's got a left side transition. He's sending a big 2 double, and it's going to get countered by a 7 chain. Looks like 7. Piponeer's probably going to have to send his main chain if he can do it, but he can't do it, and shotapero gets the win. shotapero actually had a pretty good form left over, so even though he used a lot of Puyo, if piponeer sent his main chain, shotapero still might have been able to counter and extend and build a bigger chain. shotapero is looking at a 2 chain or a 4 chain. Piponeer sends a huge single, but shotapero is able to counter with the 4 chain. That could have been dangerous if he didn't just have a 4 chain there ready. Piponeer would have won with that powerful sequence of attacks because it was a big single, and then immediately after is a 4 chain. shotapero's got his main chain going. Piponeer's form looks tough to get. He's starting a chain, but it doesn't look like it's going to connect down to the bottom. The colors are... Oh, it's actually connecting on the left side, but it's not strong enough anyway. I think he was going for the right side transition, but I'm actually not sure. It looks like he had a right side transition and he was just missing a blue. But he might have actually been going for the left side, I'm not sure. This time it's a right side transition from piponeer and a right side transition from shotapero. Piponeer is sending a 2 double. It's going to get countered by a 2 double 3 chain. Piponeer is going to have to receive the garbage. shotapero's got a good form left over. And he's just going to send his main chain immediately. He reads that piponeer's not able to dig down. Piponeer's going to send a chain, but it isn't going to connect down, so it's a good read from shotapero to see that he could just send his main chain and there's nothing piponeer could do to counter that. shotapero is starting to make a comeback, and it's now 9-6. Well, it's this early, though, I don't know if you can really call it a comeback. He was down a bit, though, so I'd still consider it a comeback. shotapero sends a single at a good time. Piponeer's in trouble, but he's going to have to clear something, and he clears a 4 chain. shotapero is going to counter with a 3 chain, but it's not going to be enough. It was a very powerful 3 chain, but piponeer's 4 chain was also very powerful. Piponeer's going into a 3 chain. It's going to get countered by a 4 chain, though. This is a really good counter from shotapero. It looked like he was in trouble, but now he's the one kind of at an advantage. Piponeer can't start anything big yet. He can make a 2 or 3 chain. 2 double. Oh no, it's a 4 chain actually. And shotapero's found a way to connect his main chain, but it doesn't look that big. Oh, he's even got the blues to connect. So it becomes an 8 chain, so it is a pretty good chain there, but is piponeer able to beat it? He had time to extend, but his tell doesn't connect well enough. Just one more match and the tell would have gotten a counter off. Shotapero had a second chain waiting though, so it's not clear if a small counter would have been enough. Shotapero is now on a win streak, and it's only a 2-point difference. Piponeer could be setting up a chain, but he's just going straight up for now, and they both clear singles. 2 chain now from piponeer. Shotapero can't draw the yellow. He took the risk by putting the purples down in the middle, hoping that he could draw the yellow and start a chain, but he didn't get to draw the yellow. So piponeer breaks shotapero's win streak, and it's now 10-7. Piponeer's doing a nice multicolor transition. He clears the first single this time, but gets countered by a bigger single. Two chain now from piponeer. Shotapero is ready to send his main chain. Looks like quite a powerful setup. Might be about 13 or 14, depending on how it all connects. Piponeer's gonna need a really big chain of his own, and it looks like he's struggling to get the colors, but he started his chain at least. It was actually a 15 chain from shotapero. Piponeer's got that multicolor transition, and he might actually be close. Unfortunately, part of the tell doesn't work. There's none of the blues or the yellows. It's a 14 double, but it's barely not enough. And shotapero even had a second chain. That was a 7 chain. Some really big chains there from both players, but shotapero gets the best of it. And it's now 10-8. In the previous matches, both players have kind of just been building up, and then shotapero's been tending to send the first small attack, and it's often been at good times. Piponeer gets the advantage with the 2 chain though. Shotapero needs blues to not fill up pretty much. He's clearing other Puyo, but now he's finally getting blues. But the blues get covered, but he's able to make a 3 chain anyway. Piponeer was maybe trying to force him out before he could draw the blues he needed. And piponeer actually has a really tough to read 8 chain, but shotapero's main chain is going to cut, but it's still going to be a 9 chain, so shotapero is going to get the win. Now 1 point off of even. It's 10-8. I mean 10-9. Shotapero is setting up a big 2 double and he sends it immediately. Piponeer has no counter and he's probably just going to fill up. He hasn't filled up yet, but there's nothing he can really dig to. This 3 chain from shotapero does end it. I think in that round, piponeer was going for a left side transition, but it was tough to make without splitting any Puyo, so then he tried to switch over to a right side transition, but shotapero kind of caught him when he was in between forms. This time it looks like piponeer has a left side transition. Shotapero is built tall in 5 columns, but the left column is very low. Still, shotapero's almost going to connect his main chain, but he actually cuts it to send a smaller chain. And now piponeer sends his main chain first, but the greens are going to cut actually, so it's going to stop here. Shotapero is able to start his chain in time though, and it's a tough spot for piponeer to win from. He's got to extend a lot here. Yeah, he might be making it work out. He has to beat a 14 chain though, and even if he started his chain, I don't know if it would have been enough to beat a 14 chain. Shotapero showing the powerful chains in this match, and with that 14 chain, he takes his first lead. Piponeer set up pretty defensively. He counters a single and he can make like a 4 or 5 chain, but now he's going to connect his main chain. And then he clears a big single. It's going to get countered by a 2 chain though. And he receives a little garbage. He's just going to send his main chain. Shotapero looks like he'd be able to beat it if he can set his chain off correctly. And it's a huge multi-match in the middle for Shotapero, but then it connects down to the bottom. That multi-match kind of took away from the power, so this might not be strong enough. It's close, but it's not strong enough. He needed to do a better job in the middle and not make a triple. So we're now tied at 11. Piponeer might have been able to read that Shotapero's form had that big multi-match in there, so it wasn't going to be as strong as some of the other chains he's been sending. 3 chain setup from Shotapero. Can easily make a 2 double as well. He sends a single for now. It gets countered by a single. Single from Piponeer gets countered by a 3 chain. Now Piponeer sends a big chain. It's going to connect down to his main chain. But actually the red's cut, so it stops at 5. That was tough to read, but Shotapero starts his chain just in time. The blues don't cut here, so it's going to connect all the way down. The tail's pretty good, so it's a pretty strong chain. But if Piponeer can get everything to clear on his field, he can beat it. Can he do it, though? It's going to have to all disappear in the tail. And there's a lot disappearing, but not quite enough connects. There are a lot of things that were really close to disappearing, but they didn't. So Shotapero gets the win. Piponeer has a big 2 double and he sends it. Shotapero barely draws his starter in time, but he's starting his main chain. So Piponeer may be able to win by extending. He needs a red starter. He needs a red starter and he's not going to get it. He got all the other colors in, and then he just needed a red at the end, but he couldn't draw it. Shotapero goes up too. This looks like an all-clear start. Shotapero gets it, but Piponeer doesn't get it. Piponeer's set up tall, though, so he can set off a chain. Shotapero doesn't clear the bonus immediately. Piponeer extends one more and sets up a 5 chain. Shotapero's going to have a tough time beating this. No, he actually has a 5 chain there. So just as I say that, Shotapero was able to get enough colors down, but it's actually not strong enough even with the all-clear bonus. So now the advantage goes to Piponeer. Now it might be pretty even. Shotapero has a counter setup. He just needs reds to start it. He's not going to start it just yet, though, because that would give Piponeer a lot of time to extend and beat him. Shotapero's almost filling up, though. For now, he sends a 2 chain. Piponeer sends the biggest chain he can send. Shotapero's trying to extend. He's got a chain off. 7 chain from Piponeer. Shotapero only has a 6 chain. It's powerful, but not good enough here. So it looked like Shotapero was going to have the advantage with that early all clear, but Piponeer built a counter, and then Piponeer kind of had the advantage, I think, because he had the counter setup complete. right side transition from shotapero and a left side transition from piponeer. They both clear singles, but shotapero's single was bigger. 3-chain setup from shotapero, but he's connecting more. Piponeer sends a big single, but shotapero is able to counter with the 3-chain, and he still has a 3-chain left over, and he sends the one left over. There was a garbage in the ghost row, so it looked like piponeer was going to be able to start a chain, but there was actually a garbage block in the ghost row that you couldn't see that fell down and covered it. Piponeer has a 2-double setup, but he actually just covers it and doesn't go for it. Shotapero's got about a 3 or 4 chain, sends the first single. Piponeer sends his first single. Shotapero's got a tall, his middle's almost filled up, and so he can't receive anything, so he has to counter. But if he receives one piece of garbage, it could fall in the middle and cause him to fill up. This is stopping for piponeer. It stops at 5. Shotapero is able to get a big chain off, though, and now piponeer has to extend. This form is tough to extend with. He needs purples and yellows on the left, and then a blue starter, and he didn't have enough time to get all the colors he needed. Shotapero was kind of in danger of filling up, but piponeer wasn't able to take advantage of it there. Piponeer's going straight into his main chain. I don't know if this was a misdrop or if he read something. It actually stops pretty quickly from piponeer. It doesn't connect all the way to the tail, but Shotapero is able to get off his main chain. And piponeer doesn't have a follow-up. It's now 12-16 in Shotapero's favor. At one point it had been 9-3 in piponeer's favor, but now Shotapero is really pulling away here. They both have left side transitions. Piponeer is setting up in the middle. And they both clear singles for now, and now a 2-chain from piponeer gets countered by a 5-chain. No, 4 double. Piponeer has to send his main chain, but Shotapero used a lot. He also needs a lot of specific Puyo to be able to set off his main chain, and he's not going to be able to do it. Yes, he gives it up. So piponeer comes back 1 point, and it's 13-16. Piponeer could be going aggressive this time. He has a chance to set something up. If he can get greens, he can send something, but Shotapero actually has a huge counter set up on the right side, so if piponeer attacked, Shotapero would still be able to set off his main chain pretty easily. Shotapero can't draw a single blue, though. He needs a blue in the 4th column, and he's placed so many Puyo down. Finally, he can get a blue there. He did place some blues in other spots, but Shotapero's got his main chain going. Piponeer tried to get him to fill up before he could do it, but piponeer makes a mistake here. I don't think he wanted to send that. And with that, there's no chance for him to win. Looks like the color distribution was a bit tough for both players since they get the same colors. And so they're having trouble building a good form there. Even at this level, there's still certain color distributions that are tough to work with, and it makes it hard to build nice chains. Piponeer comes out ahead in the first attack, and the second attack, Piponeer comes out ahead again, but it's not enough to guarantee a win yet. Piponeer sends a big 3-chain. It's going to get countered by a 2 double, but piponeer gets a big advantage here. Shotapero is going to have to get specific colors to be able to dig. He's got his main chain connected, and he's just going to send it. Not much else he could do. Piponeer might have misread this. Piponeer sent a 4 double into it, but it was actually a main chain from Shotapero, and now Piponeer is probably going to lose this round. Piponeer needed to see that Shotapero's main chain was connected, and if he saw that, he would have known to try to extend and send a bigger main chain. But instead, he misread it and tried to counter, and he sent the wrong amount. Piponeer's got an interesting tell this time. It's a right side transition, so the tell's on the left side. Piponeer still needs a red on the right side to connect his main chain, and he places it now. Shotapero still has options to attack, but Piponeer's going to be getting his main chain off soon. So the attack's going to be a bit too late. No, Shotapero's actually connected his main chain. There's a purple in the ghost row on the right column. And Piponeer's chain kind of blows up all at the same time. It's still very powerful, but Shotapero actually has a 15 chain. It's another really big chain from Shotapero to get the win. Shotapero's really getting off some big chains in this match. Piponeer's gotten off a couple big chains, but not as many as Shotapero. Shotapero's got right side GTR this time. Piponeer's got a left side transition. Oh, 2 double from Shotapero. It's going to get countered by a 4 chain though. And Shotapero doesn't quite have the colors he wants. He's going to try to build up tall and counter. He digs with a 2 chain. It gets countered by a 2 chain, but this is kind of an advantage for Shotapero because he's able to clear a lot of garbage. But his yellow star gets covered by the follow-up attack. Piponeer draws the green just in time for a triple. Shotapero sees this and sends his main chain immediately. Piponeer needs a lot of reds, and he gets a lot of reds, and then he starts his chain. 7 from Shotapero. Piponeer has a great tell here, so he's going to be beating that. If the purple's connected, it would have been perfect. All clear, but it's good enough as is anyway. So it's now 14 to 19. Looks like it could have been all clear, but neither player gets it. They both have unusual forms. Piponeer's got a left side transition. Shotapero's got a right side transition. He needs a red on the right column to connect it. And he's probably going to have to do that now because Piponeer's sending a huge 5 chain. Shotapero sends his main chain, but it's only a 5 chain as well. And Piponeer actually just wins with that attack. Piponeer is doing GTR. It's a very solid setup from Piponeer. Shotapero is going into second transition. He's looks like he's got a really big chain set up. He's going to attack with a 3 chain for now. Piponeer's just going to send his main chain, but the blues don't connect. So it stops at 8 actually. Shotapero's not able to get his chain off in time. Looks like Shotapero would have had a huge chain if he could have gotten it off, but he couldn't get it off this time. It would have been interesting though, because Piponeer had a nice form left over, and he would have had a lot of time to extend. So even if Shotapero sent like a 15 chain, Piponeer would have had a chance to beat it. Four chain setup from Piponeer. He sends a 2 chain first. And it gets countered by a 2 chain, but Piponeer comes out ahead. Piponeer might have connected his main chain. It's tough for me to read if it all connects. Looks like there's no red, and the red doesn't quite connect down. So it stops early, but Shotapero isn't ready to beat this. Piponeer's been getting a few wins like this where he sends a really big chain, but it's not his main chain, and then Shotapero's not able to counter in time. Two double step from Piponeer, but he doesn't actually send it. Shotapero clears the first single, but gets countered by a big chain. This is going to be a 4 chain. Shotapero can't draw a blue. He had a lot of chances, but he just didn't get one. Potential 2 double from Piponeer, and he sends it this time. Shotapero counters with the 3 chain, but it's probably Piponeer's advantage. Piponeer follows up, and Shotapero gets a little garbage. It was actually less garbage than I thought, so it's probably more even. Shotapero might even have the advantage here. Both clear singles and no garbage gets sent. Now, 4 chain from Piponeer. Shotapero just sends his main chain. Piponeer is going to have to extend and win. And Piponeer's trying to extend as much as he can. He's got a chain off. I don't know if it's going to be enough. The tail kind of, the purple's in the tail cut, but it actually is enough. I didn't think it was going to be enough, but it was. Shotapero could have countered with a 2nd chain, but he couldn't start it in time. Now we're tied at 19. Piponeer was winning everything at the start of the match, and then Shotapero went on a big win streak, and now Piponeer's brought it back to even. A lot of 2-chain setups for Shotapero. He clears a single though. Piponeer doesn't have much he can do on his field. The purples don't get covered, fortunately for him, because he might have filled up if those purples got covered. But now he's able to start his main chain. Doesn't look that strong though. It's a lot of multi-matches, and then it stops at 11. It's pretty strong. Shotapero's not able to beat it though. And Piponeer gets to 20 first. All clear match this time. They've been clearing the bonus early and at the same time. They don't clear it yet. Shotapero's building in the middle again. It's pretty unusual. And Shotapero can't afford to receive the garbage from the bonus, but they both clear it at the same time, so he doesn't have to worry about that. Looks like they're going to have to do something soon. Piponeer sends what he has, but this is actually only a 4-chain. Shotapero is able to counter it in time. And the greens connect, and then the blues and the purples. But a lot of the tail doesn't get cleared for Shotapero. Piponeer can beat it if his tail is good enough. It's a huge multi-match, and it's actually strong enough, but Shotapero's got to follow up. And almost everything gets cleared, so Shotapero takes the advantage now. And Piponeer doesn't have a big enough follow-up chain to that. Shotapero is able to get the win there, and we're tied at 20. To me, it always looks really risky when Shotapero builds in the middle in an all-clear match, and the bonus is still there. Because if the opponent just clears the bonus when you're not ready, then you might just fill up. There's a big setup from Shotapero, but it's probably going to be used as a counter. Piponeer is actually just sending his main chain. Shotapero's been having trouble getting his main chain off sometimes, but he's got a red starter this time, and he's going to get it off. As long as it doesn't break, he should have enough there to win. Piponeer can try to build a second chain, though. Shotapero's chain doesn't break. Piponeer is setting off a second chain early because it's an all clear, but it's not going to be powerful enough. The only way he could have won there was if he didn't take that all clear and he tried to extend one or two more. That was the only thing he could have done. Score is now 20-21. Piponeer is doing GTR. I always think it's worth pointing out, because especially once Piponeer, because he doesn't do GTR that often. Piponeer is sending a 2-chain. Shotapero is also sending a 2-chain, but Piponeer's was stronger. Shotapero sends a big single, and then it's a 2-chain. Piponeer's in trouble, but he's able to make a 2-chain. So he still has the blues available. He's sending a 2-chain. It's going to get countered by a 2-chain. They're both doing a good job with small attacks, but Shotapero is slightly ahead here. Piponeer might have to send his main chain, and he does. Shotapero just needs a red starter, probably, but not one attached to purple. He finds a different red starter. Piponeer actually has a pretty good tell to make a 12-chain. Shotapero's chain actually isn't that big. It's 9 double, 10 double, 11. It's going to be big enough, though. Piponeer, if he had a counter starter, he might have been able to win, but the counter wasn't complete anyway. 20-22 is the score now. They're doing identical builds, but now they changed. They both still have left side GTR, though. Shotapero clears a single. It gets countered by a single. Now Shotapero clears another big single. Piponeer needs yellows, and then actually needs to connect something to counter the 4-chain. He's able to make a 3-chain, but Shotapero took the advantage there with the single, and then Piponeer was in trouble. Good read there from Shotapero to see that Piponeer couldn't really beat a 4-chain after receiving the garbage from the single. Big 3-chain from Shotapero. It hits at the perfect time where Piponeer can't really find a good counter, and now Shotapero has a pretty big advantage, but he doesn't have much Puyo left on the field, and Piponeer hasn't filled up yet. So Piponeer can actually dig to a 3-double. Shotapero is going to have to receive the garbage, and he's got a counter setup. Piponeer can't really dig to anything, though. If he could, he would have had an advantage. But, oh no, he's found a way to actually dig to the 5-chain and prove me wrong here. And I think Piponeer might be winning this one. Shotapero can make a 2-chain. Piponeer can't quite connect anything yet, so it's not over. Now Piponeer's got a 2-chain going. It's going to get countered by a 3-chain. Piponeer draws a yellow just in time. And he's got a 4-chain. Shotapero can't beat it. He can't draw his yellow fast enough. Even if he drew it, it didn't look like much was connected, so he might not have filled up immediately, but he still would have been at a really big disadvantage. All clear start this time, it looks like. Piponeer gets it, but Shotapero doesn't get an all clear. Shotapero counters with the 4-chain. Piponeer is probably going to receive the garbage and then look to clear the all clear bonus. But he doesn't clear it immediately. Shotapero is trying to set up tall on the left side. Now Piponeer clears the bonus. Shotapero is set up tall, but Piponeer's got a really big chain there. And Piponeer's going to send the big chain. Shotapero has to extend in a hurry. He's looking for purples, I think. No, he only has a blue starter here. It's a pretty good chain, but I don't know if this is going to be enough. It is 7, and it's not enough. And Piponeer had a really nice follow-up chain as well. So piponeer is able to take advantage of the all-clear bonus to win this round. It's now 22-23, another all-clear match. Feels like they've had a lot of all-clear matches. Shotapero is building in the middle as always. Piponeer clears the bonus though. Shotapero has to clear the bonus because he kind of built in the middle and didn't really build a counter. So now his setup's a bit odd, but he's found a way to change how it works. It was going to be GTR, but now it's not GTR, but it's a different type chain. Still, Shotapero receives a lot of garbage. Piponeer follows up, but Shotapero now has a 3 chain. Piponeer has to counter, and he's going with his main chain. No, it cuts at 3, actually. Shotapero recognizes this and sets off his chain in time. I would have been trying to extend, and then I would have built up. Shotapero had an 8 chain. Piponeer can't send a big chain here. So Shotapero manages to get the win. Even though I say personally don't like Shotapero's all-clear strategy, it seems to work for him, so it's probably not a bad strategy. Piponeer clears the first single this time, but doesn't cover anything too important. Shotapero's got 3 chain. And Shotapero doesn't send it, actually. He sends a 2 chain for now. Piponeer sending a 5 chain. Shotapero has to counter that. He hesitates for a moment. I think he waited too long. I think he had ways to counter it with the next piece, but he just wasn't sure where to place that piece he was holding, and he held it too long. Piponeer's got a nice left side transition. Piponeer clears the first single and it gets countered by a 2 double, which gets countered by a 3 chain. And that gets countered by another 2 double. Nice, powerful, and fast counters and attacks. 2 chain now from Shotapero. Gets countered by a big single. Neither of them is making 2 large moves, but they're all countering everything the opponent does. Now a 2 double from Piponeer, and Shotapero makes a big chain. It's going to connect his main chain. Piponeer can extend and win here, but looks like he's struggling with his form a bit. He clears a single, and he needs a purple starter at least. He does get a purple starter, but the greens don't connect. I think he was a bit confused on how he wanted to connect that one, and he couldn't get it off. Shotapero's at the halfway point. It's 23-25. They both have left side transitions. Piponeer sends an early 2 chain that gets countered by just a single. Shotapero setting up a 2 chain. For now, they both clear singles. Piponeer has a 3 chain ready. And Piponeer's extending. Looks tough for Piponeer to connect his main chain, but he's not going to have to do it yet. He's able to send. Oh no, actually, his main chain is just connected. So, Shotapero can win with a bigger main chain. But this looks tough. Not much places to place Puyo. And Shotapero's not able to set up his main chain. Does feel like Shotapero's been having this problem quite a bit in this match where he just can't quite set off his main chain when he needs a really big one. I'm not sure if Piponeer is reading that Shotapero's form is tough to set off, so then that's why Piponeer sends his main chain faster sometimes. That could be possible though. Piponeer's sending some small attacks, but Shotapero's got a strong counter. Piponeer's got a counter to that though, but he's using a lot of Puyo. Shotapero is sending his main chain, and piponeer gets all the colors he needs, actually. So piponeer is able to set off his main chain and make it pretty strong. It's going to be close. Shotapero receives a lot of garbage, but he's got a tall setup. But it all gets covered, so piponeer is going to get the win here. Shotapero tried to set up for him to receive garbage by building tall on the left side, but piponeer countered by just a bit too much, so it all got covered. We're now tied at 25, so halfway through, and we're exactly even. Piponeer clears a single, but it doesn't cause too much problems yet because Shotapero isn't very high up. Shotapero clears his main chain, actually. I didn't think he was going to do that, and it looks like piponeer didn't think he was going to do that either. So piponeer needs a red on the left side, and he doesn't look like he's going to be able to get all the colors in place. piponeer wasn't ready for that play, and Shotapero must have been watching, and he must have been able to recognize that, because Shotapero just went into his main chain really quickly there. And usually it's not a good play, but if you can see your opponent can't set off their main chain or a big enough chain to counter, it becomes a good play. piponeer clears a single and gets countered by a single. And now 3 double from Shotapero. piponeer draws what he needs to counter, but he's using a lot of Puyo and his form may not be good. Oh, it's actually connecting down to his main chain. I wasn't able to read that one. And it's a 12 chain for piponeer. I don't think Shotapero has enough to counter with. It's a good tell, but there's not enough there, I don't think. Oh, the purples don't connect either. So we're now tied at 26. piponeer's second column is really low. He's going to have to place something there soon. He doesn't want to tilt Puyo, but he finally does it just because he had to fill the second column. He's able to counter the attack, though, with the 3 double, and piponeer's actually got himself in a situation where he can win if he can just set off a big chain. Looks like he needs a lot of reds, though. He needs one more red, and he gets all the reds he needs. piponeer might have found a way to win this one. The yellows at the bottom break early, but that might not be a problem. Everything breaks at the same time almost, and it's actually very powerful, and Shotapero had no way to counter that with the second chain. So it looked like piponeer was struggling because he wasn't placing anything in the second column. And Shotapero tried to attack to take advantage of that, but piponeer had the perfect counter to the attack. They have almost identical forms this time. They finally change. Shotapero can set up a 2 double, and he does. piponeer has to receive it, but he can dig a bit. He digs with a 2 chain for now, and it's easy for him to connect his main chain. But he may not want to do it too quickly. It looks like he's running out of options, though, and this is going to connect his main chain. He set up his main chain in the best way he could. Shotapero is also setting off his main chain. Shotapero's chain, it's very close. They both have 11, but Shotapero has 11 double and barely comes out ahead. I don't know if Shotapero just knew he had enough there, so he set off his chain really quickly. But Shotapero does get the win, and we're tied at 27 now. It's been back and forth a little bit, but now it's been staying very even. 2 double setup from Shotapero on the purples, and he does send it. piponeer is going to go straight into his main chain. This looks like a situation where Shotapero can win from, though. He needs purples, though. He needs another purple just to start off his chain. And he is able to start off his chain. The tail doesn't look that good. The greens don't disappear. it's just barely enough, but piponeer can beat this much with a second chain. And he is going to beat it with a second chain, so shotapero needs a second chain, and he needs a green starter. I think shotapero had it there, maybe, if he drew the green starter, but he didn't even draw a green. So I think shotapero wasn't able to really extend that well that time. He had a situation where he really probably could have won if he just set off a bigger chain, but of course that's tough to do. Pivoneer's got a really unusual form. There's nothing in the third column, so it's tough for him to place Puyo. And he's done it again, though, where shotapero attacks and Piponeer just has a counter, but shotapero has a counter to the counter this time. Piponeer is forced to send a big chain, but it's stopping at 5 and there's not much left over. Shotapero is going to beat it easily with the main chain, and Piponeer probably isn't going to be able to counter. That single's not helping, and I don't know if there's something there that he could have done. But now we're tied at 28. Left side GTR from shotapero. Right side transition from Piponeer. Two chain from Piponeer gets countered by a two chain. Shotapero receives one piece of garbage. Piponeer might have to connect his main chain soon. Shotapero's got his main chain going. And Piponeer also sends his main chain, so it's going to be a main chain battle. We'll have to see whose is stronger. Shotapero clears everything he has, but he didn't have that much on his field. But it's strong enough to beat what Piponeer had. 11 versus 12 chain there. Shotapero gets the win with the 12 chain. Piponeer's got a two chain set up, but he extends from it. Shotapero clears the first single, and it's a bit of a problem for Piponeer. Shotapero follows up quickly, but Piponeer is able to start his main chain. This looks like another situation where Shotapero should have the advantage, but he hasn't been closing it out in these matches a lot of times. And it looks like he's struggling here again. He's going to need a really good tell. Looks like he wanted to get the pieces connected in the front, but he couldn't do it. The tell is pretty good, but it's not good enough again. Shotapero again having trouble winning in these extend and win situations. And Piponeer is the first one to 30. Oh no, actually it's still tied at 29. All clear start this time. Shotapero gets a more powerful all clear, but Piponeer also gets a more powerful all clear than the one he was looking at first. Shotapero gets the lead by one piece of garbage though. It probably won't be too impactful. Piponeer clears the all clear bonus first. And now Piponeer gets a follow-up all clear. Shotapero's in trouble. But he gets exactly what he needs to extend on the tell to make a 5 chain. And then he draws the starter too. So a bit of good luck there from Shotapero. But it's not decided yet. That was just to keep him in this round. And it still looks like Piponeer has the advantage. And Piponeer sending a big chain. It's going to be a 4 chain. Shotapero has a bigger chain. No, it is a 4 chain, and it is going to be a little bit bigger. Piponeer sending a big attack. 3 triple. And Shotapero can't beat this one. And now Piponeer is the first one to 30. Piponeer's doing GTR. Piponeer's looking for purples, but he gets all the ones he needs. Neither player is really set up to attack. Shotapero's got a nice defensive setup though. Can make a 4-chain and he connects his main chain now and piponeer attacks right at that moment and Shotapero has to receive the garbage. He can dig with a 5 or 6 chain, but piponeer is now sending his main chain. Looks like piponeer is trying to read Shotapero's moves and counter all of them. Shotapero finds a way to start his main chain though. It's a very nice main chain starter there, and I think Shotapero's chain is going to be bigger. Piponeer had a pretty big chain, but Shotapero's got a 13 chain. Oh, it's actually pretty close. Oh no, I don't know if Piponeer realized it was going to be that close. Piponeer probably could have countered that with the second chain, but he didn't get one off. Another all clear start this time, and they both get the same power all clear. And they both clear the bonus quickly. Potential all clear, but the color doesn't come. Looked like it could have been another follow-up all clear. There have been a lot of all clears in this match. Shotapero got some 2 and 3 chains set up. He has a lot of options there. Piponeer's sending some chains, but it's not causing any problems for Shotapero just yet. Shotapero is going to connect a big chain, but it's not going to be his main chain yet. Oh no, actually it is. That was really tough to read, but Shotapero connects his main chain there. Piponeer has to connect a bigger main chain. Piponeer's got his chain going. He's going to need a good tell, though. I don't know if everything's going to disappear in this tell. Is it going to connect anywhere? Doesn't actually connect anywhere. And Shotapero gets the win. Shotapero shows a nice second chain as well. Didn't need it, but it was there if he did. Left side transition from both players. They both start with their transition early in the round. Piponeer's got a big 3 chain setup or a 2 double, but he doesn't send it. They both clear singles and Shotapero gets a slight advantage. Shotapero could follow up with greens, but he doesn't actually do that because Piponeer's going into his main chain. Piponeer's tell cuts a little bit, so this isn't the strongest main chain. Shotapero's tell cuts too, though, and this might be another situation where Shotapero ought to have won, but he's not able to set off a big chain. Usually at this level, you just expect the players to always have it there, but this time Shotapero wasn't able to counter. No one's attacking at all this round yet. It's time for singles, and Shotapero sends the first one. Piponeer's got a 2 chain. Big 4 chain though from Shotapero. Piponeer has to counter somehow. Piponeer's got a form that breaks down the right side of his chain. And it's gonna end up being an 8 chain. Shotapero sets off his main chain, but he's gonna need a good tell here. Looks like the tell is gonna be pretty good. And everything in the tell is gonna disappear. Piponeer probably doesn't have enough here. Piponeer needed to extend a bit, but even then it would have been really tough there. He would have needed to extend by like 2 matches, and that wasn't easy to do. So Shotapero gets a win this time, and it's 31-32. Another GTR from Piponeer. Shotapero's got a lot. He's got the left and right side really tall, but the middle's really low. Now he fills it in though. And a 4 chain, no, 6 chain from Shotapero. Piponeer probably wants to send his main chain to counter, but he can't do that. So he tries to counter in a different way, but it's only a 3-chain. And Shotapero gets the win with the unusual 6-chain. Shotapero might have read that piponeer just couldn't make a chain to beat that one. So it might have been a good read there from Shotapero. Shotapero's setting up big. He's got a big 2 double, but he just doesn't send it, and he instead sends a 3-chain. Piponeer puts down a bunch of pieces, but he can't draw a purple to counter. That's a bit of bad luck there, because he had a lot of piece draws, and he just didn't draw purple, and it's another all clear. And they both get the... Oh no! Piponeer doesn't adjust, so Shotapero gets the stronger all clear. But it's probably not going to matter much. Most of the times, you'll see the players adjust when it's a triple double. So the same double piece 3 times in a row, they adjust and get a bigger all clear. Shotapero just clears a single. It really looks like they're setting up attacks, but then they never send them. Piponeer does win with an attack this time though. It's 32 to 34, so it stayed very close for a while. Sometimes you will see one player just break out at the end and win big when it was close throughout the middle though. So there's still the chance of that happening here. 2-chain from Piponeer. Shotapero doesn't draw a counter. And he clears a single for now. And another single. Singles are starting to add up, and Piponeer doesn't really have space to place anything. So he's going to have to send his main chain. Shotapero's in an extend and win situation again. He's getting all the colors he needs, it looks like. And he's able to start off his chain. It's only a 9-chain from Piponeer. Shotapero should be able to beat that pretty easily. The tail doesn't actually connect that much, because the reds connect but nothing else. But it is going to be enough. Piponeer had a lot of time to build a second chain, but he can't get it off. So it's now 32 to 35. They're both just building up, and again, neither player is really sending anything in the middle of the round. Piponeer sends a huge attack now, and Shotapero has a 3-chain, but it's just not going to be enough. Shotapero receives all the garbage, but he can't draw the purples in time to dig to anything. There might have been a way for him to connect to his main chain if he drew enough purples and dug with them. We've got a left side GTR from Shotapero. And a left side transition from Piponeer. Shotapero can set up a 2 double. He's gonna send it. Piponeer counters with a 3 double though. This may be the reason why they aren't attacking very often, just because the other player is too good at countering and getting the advantage. Big single from Piponeer, and Shotapero is in a bit of trouble. Piponeer is following up, seeing this, and Piponeer gets the win. Some nice mid-game play there from Piponeer to win the round. Again, neither player is really attacking. Piponeer clears the first single and it sends a full line. Shotapero clears his single and now a 2-chain. Piponeer clears another big single that counters a 2-chain by a lot. Shotapero's in trouble. The small attacks cover everything, and shotapero doesn't quite fill up yet, but the follow-up attack is going to finish it. Again, it looks like both players are so strong at countering that neither of them wants to make a bad move that gets countered easily in the mid game. So then it comes down to big singles and really fast attacks that are tough to counter. Both players have been doing those pretty well in this match. 2 double sub from shotapero though, and piponeer's not able to counter this one. It's a nice timing on the attack for shotapero, where piponeer just had no counter there. So, even though they aren't always attacking that often, shotapero is kind of showing that you still have to be ready to counter. Like, he's not always going to attack, but if you just aren't set up and ready to counter, shotapero can just attack at any time and win. One thing that I do think comes into play sometimes is like how you win can make a difference in the whole match. So if you win with a really big chain, it can kind of get your opponent thinking, like, I can't let them make those really big chains because um, they've shown that they can make really big chains. Or if you lose because you couldn't extend, it might make your opponent more quick to send their main chain. A lot of interesting attacks in this round. And it ends with piponeer sending his main chain and shotapero counters with his main chain, but there's not much in the tell. He's going to need the reds to disappear, and they do, and it's a lot of power there for him. shotapero. Piponeer had a counter with the blue starter, but he didn't draw it. It's now 35 to 37. Back to what I was saying about how you win. So when shotapero wins with a big attack, it kind of forces piponeer to think about that potential for shotapero to just send a big attack, and shotapero sending a surprise huge 2 chain, and piponeer is just going to fill up from it. So this now piponeer is going to have to be watching out for something like that. That could happen again. All clear start this time, and shotapero gets the 4 chain all clear. Piponeer doesn't get an all clear, but he's going to counter, and then he's going to get an all clear afterwards with a lucky double green draw. So piponeer takes a big advantage this round. Piponeer draws a purple just in time to set it off as a counter, and shotapero is probably going to fill up. He's got a 2 chain, so he might keep playing. It's actually a 2 double, and piponeer is able to counter with a 3 chain though, but this is now actually a match. shotapero's got a follow-up chain. Piponeer receives a lot of garbage. shotapero might have forced his way into advantage. Piponeer is able to start a big chain though, and piponeer maintains the advantage, and shotapero can't counter that chain. So piponeer is able to close it out and get the win. Still, no one's pulling too far ahead or falling too far behind. We're at 36 to 38. Big single from piponeer. Sends almost 2 lines. shotapero is built tall on the right side though, so he's able to receive the garbage. And potential 3 chain from shotapero coming. But he sends a 2 chain first. That gets countered by a 2 double. And then he draws what he needs to start the 3 chain after. It's going to get countered by a 3 chain, but it'll be pretty even. Just 1 piece of garbage going to shotapero, but a follow-up attack from piponeer. shotapero is able to start his main chain, but that doesn't guarantee that he'll win. Piponeer can still extend. Oh no, he makes an unusual single. That was surely a misdrop. And now he's probably gonna lose because of it. It was a tough extension to make already, and the single kind of ruined his chances. Shotapero's up 3. It's 36-39. They both have left side transitions. Two chain from piponeer, and Shotapero has no counter, but he's set up in the middle, so he can still set off his main chain pretty easily. Two double from Shotapero. It's gonna get countered by 4 chain. But Shotapero's starting his main chain, and Piponeer's used a lot of Puyo for the counter. He's a red starter, does Piponeer, and Piponeer gets even better. He gets a blue-red starter to extend 1. And with that, it's going to be more than enough. Without it, it probably would have been really close. Shotapero's actually able to make a counter, though. And he's got a 5 chain. And it pretty much counters everything, but Piponeer is going to win with the follow-up. And Piponeer comes out ahead there. Given that was that close, if Piponeer didn't draw exactly a blue and red when he was starting his chain, he wouldn't have won that one. Sometimes you get unlucky and sometimes you get lucky. It's just part of the game. Two double set from Piponeer. He sends a single first, and now he sends the 2 double, but Shotapero is ready to counter it with a big 3 chain. 3 triple, actually. Piponeer has no play besides sending his main chain, but Shotapero is able to start his main chain, and Shotapero has the stronger chain there, so this should go to Shotapero. Piponeer is building a second chain, and he's doing a good job of it, but even then, he could have set it off with the double reds, but it just wouldn't have been enough. Shotapero's chain was too strong in that situation. So it's 37-40. Shotapero's been maintaining a small lead, but it's still not too one-sided yet. Piponeer's got GTR. Piponeer's got a nice transition setup. Shotapero can easily send a 3 or 4 chain. But for now, they're both clearing singles. Now Piponeer sends a 3 chain. It's going to get countered by that 4 chain. And Piponeer cuts the yellows to make a 3 double to counter. It's a nice cut play there. Shotapero doesn't send his main chain yet, though. He sends a 4 chain instead. Piponeer needs a yellow starter, but he's not going to get it, so he makes a different match. But he's in trouble here. But Shotapero sent a 2 chain, and Piponeer sending a 4 chain. Shotapero gets a 5 chain, all clear, though. And this might be it for Piponeer. Piponeer needs a red starter to do anything. And he doesn't draw it. Shotapero is now up by 4. Piponeer's not going to want to let Shotapero get too far ahead, because now we're in the end game. To me, it's amazing how often Piponeer is able to avoid tilting a piece or placing it unevenly. Splitting Puyo is the word I was thinking of. 3 chain from Shotapero is going to force Piponeer to respawn, but he's got a 4 double. Now Shotapero has to do something, and he sends a 4 chain, but Piponeer sees it and immediately sets off another chain to interrupt. The interrupt might not have even been necessary, but it was enough to guarantee that Piponeer wins that round. About the splitting Puyo, there's so many times where I look at Piponeer's side and I think I would just split the Puyo there because it looks like the only thing you can do, and then he just places it somewhere else. I don't know if Piponeer put a green on the left column. I wasn't actually paying enough attention to it to notice. If it's not there, though, he can't send his main chain. So he's sending. If there's a green, it's his main chain, and there is a green, actually. Shotapero, though, looks like he's gotten off the chain that he wanted. And shotapero looks to have a really big chain. Piponeer has 11, but shotapero has a pretty big chain, not as big as some of the early ones, but it's going to be enough to counter here. It's 13, and piponeer can't build up a second chain to beat that in time. So it's now 38 to 42. It does feel like shotapero's starting to pull away. Shotapero looks like he just has his main chain connected, and piponeer is going to send a 2 triple to force shotapero to send that main chain. Now it's going to be up to the extension. Can piponeer extend enough to win? He thinks he's done it already. Shotapero has a 9 double though. Piponeer's tell is going to clear everything but a single blue. And piponeer has exactly 10, so he started his chain at a good time. He knew he had enough there. But shotapero actually has a second chain, but it's not going to be strong enough. Good job knowing just how much he needed there from piponeer. It looked like there was time to extend a little bit more, so he might have wanted to do that, but he knew he had enough as it was, and he didn't try to extend unnecessarily. Shotapero's got a 2 double and he's sending it, but it's going to get countered by a 3 chain. Still, it's not much of a counter, and it doesn't even counter everything. Shotapero's looking to follow up. Another 2 double, or something bigger even. He makes a 4 chain actually to counter a 3 chain. Nice adjustment. Piponeer is desperate to send something, and he's got a big 3 chain. But Shotapero is able to start his main chain in time, and piponeer doesn't really have anything left. So this should go to Shotapero, and it does. Shotapero again has a 4-point lead. Piponeer's not letting the gap grow too big, but he's not closing it either. And it just feels like Shotapero, if he can maintain this lead, is going to close it out with victory. But anything can happen in this. Looked like piponeer was going to send a 2 chain, but he just clears a single. Shotapero clears a really big single, but piponeer is able to make a 2 chain, but it gets countered by a 3 chain, which gets countered by a bigger 3 chain, which gets countered by a 2 double, and the counters go back and forth, and neither player really gets a big advantage or a disadvantage. Again, a 2 chain and a 2 chain counter. Looks like a 2 double setup from Shotapero, but he doesn't go for it. Piponeer is already sending his main chain. Shotapero has to send a bigger main chain. Looks like he's got it connected. He just needs a green starter. And Shotapero thinks he's got enough. There weren't much ways for him to extend from there anyway. 12 double from Piponeer. Shotapero's tail is breaking at the same time as the front, so he's not going to have enough. And Piponeer gets the win in the intense battle there. 40 to 43 is the score now. Piponeer's still hanging on. Looks like it could have been all clear, but the colors didn't quite come to make an all clear. Big 2 chain setup from Piponeer, but he's not actually sending it. 2 double setup from Shotapero, and he does send this one. It's going to get countered by a 4 double. Interesting cut there from Piponeer to send a counter. And now he's going to go into his main chain, but Shotapero's got his main chain actually connected. This might have been a misread from Piponeer, because that play is going to cause him to lose the round. It was tough to read that Shotapero's main chain was connected all the way, and Piponeer drew an exact piece to make a big chain of his own, but it ended up not being the right play. It's going to be another all-clear match, and they both clear the bonus, and now it's a normal match. Piponeer's got a right side transition, and Shotapero's got a left side transition. Piponeer clears a single that gets countered by a bigger single, and now a 2 chain follow up from Shotapero. Piponeer draws exactly the right colors to dig all the way down to his main chain. He drew a lot of specific pieces in a row, and he's able to set his main chain off. And it stops just now, and shotapero can't start his chain in time. So Piponeer, who was at a huge disadvantage, drew exactly what he needed to recover and get the win. So that disadvantage started with just sending a single from Piponeer that wasn't strong enough. So it feels like shotapero kind of punished Piponeer just for sending a single that wasn't strong enough. shotapero sends a single this time. And another single. Piponeer clears the blues. Single from Piponeer gets countered by a 3-chain. Piponeer is forced to send something big, and it's going to be his main chain. shotapero's got a lot of time to extend and win. Seems like a situation where he should win, but he's been having trouble with this in this match. And this time, he is going to get a counter, but it's in the range where Piponeer can beat it with a 2nd chain, so it's not quite strong enough of a counter to close out the win. And Piponeer does beat it with a 2nd chain. shotapero's trying to get a counter starter, but it looks like he needed a green for this starter, and he didn't draw it. So again, shotapero's been struggling in that situation sometimes. And Piponeer gets another win from it. Big single from Piponeer. shotapero is able to start his main chain, but Piponeer should be able to extend and win. He's got a good enough form. He needs greens to start, and he gets the starter. And the greens on the everything's actually going to disappear, and it is good enough. And shotapero doesn't have a big enough 2nd chain, so Piponeer's brought it back, and it's 43 to 40 now. 43 to 44 now. Piponeer's set up defensively with a 4-chain. They both clear singles, and Piponeer's connected his main chain, but he's building on top to make a 2-chain. shotapero's countering this 2-chain in advance with a 4-chain, though, and it's going to get the win. shotapero might have seen what Piponeer was going for, and he countered it really quickly. I don't know if shotapero was just attacking with that, or he just saw what Piponeer was doing. Piponeer's got a left side raised GTR. shotapero got a 2-double, and he doesn't actually send it. It's still there, though, and it gets covered now. Piponeer's following up. shotapero going to be able to make a counter, though. This uses up so many Puyo, though, that Piponeer might be able to win with his main chain. But there's not much in the tail, and it's not strong enough. Piponeer sent too quickly. Needed to either extend on the front or put a yellow in the tail, but he didn't do either of them, and his chain wasn't strong enough. And shotapero's back out to a 3-point lead, 43 to 46 now. Piponeer's got a 2-chain, but he's covering it and extending. shotapero clears a single. Looked tough to do from that form, but he found a way to clear a big single. Piponeer's just sending his main chain, though. shotapero's form looks pretty tough here. He does need a green in the middle, I think. And then a purple starter. He kind of just gave it up, I think. Looked like there's a way he could make a chain there, but maybe it wouldn't have connected all the way. So it's now 44 to 46. Piponeer's still hanging on. Just feels like he's never been able to get, or he hasn't been able to bring it back to even for a long time, though. Piponeer clears a big single. Shotapero's form is a bit rough from that garbage. Shotapero clears a 2-chain, and a 3-chain from Piponeer is going to counter it. Shotapero makes a single on accident, and now he can't really do anything. He's pretty much covered all the way. He's trying to dig, and Piponeer didn't follow up that fast, so Shotapero has a chance to dig now, and he draws the red he needs, so he's still not filled up. His form's getting even harder to work with, though. But he can connect his main chain with the yellows, and he is going to send it. Piponeer looks like he's going to have a really easy time to beat this one, though. He just needs a purple starter, probably. And he starts with the purples. It's an 8-chain from Shotapero, but Piponeer is going to beat it easily. So we've got 8 and then all the way to 10 for Piponeer. Shotapero sets off a 2nd chain. I don't think it's going to be good enough, but it's as good as you could hope for. Except for the purple's not connecting. If the purple's connected too, it might have actually been strong enough. But Piponeer had a 2nd chain of his own that was really strong. So Piponeer's closed the gap to 1, 45 to 46. This looks like it could have been an all-clear start. 2 double stab from Shotapero. He can send it if he wants on the greens. And he finally sends it. But Piponeer is able to get all the colors he needs to set up his main chain. And Shotapero doesn't have much time to extend. He's got to extend really fast. And he can't quite do it. Looks like he might have been one piece away. He could have started with those purples. But now we're all tied up at 46. It's now a 1st to 4 to decide who wins the match. Piponeer might have the momentum because he had been behind for so long, but he's finally brought it back. Big single from Shotapero. Piponeer doesn't want to receive the garbage, so he's forced to send an unusual 5-chain that kind of breaks his form. Shotapero sends a 5-chain with the greens cutting, though. Piponeer has to react, and he does send a counter. Shotapero used pretty much everything on his field. I don't know if he has anything left. And he makes a chain, actually. It's close in power and strong enough to counter just barely, but Piponeer's got a follow-up. This is still undecided. Shotapero draws a red just in time, but it's only a 3-chain. And Shotapero's now at a pretty big disadvantage. A follow-up attack from Piponeer is going to put even more garbage on Shotapero. It's not over yet, though. Piponeer does have a huge advantage in the round, but Shotapero still has some chances here. Piponeer sets off a big chain. Shotapero sets off a big chain, though. Piponeer might not have made a big enough chain. Shotapero's got an 8-chain, and Shotapero is going to clutch out the win here. Piponeer had the advantage because he could have had a lot more space and a better field to work with, but Piponeer wasn't able to take advantage of it, and Shotapero was able to make a really big chain through all the garbage. So it's now 46 to 47. It's a huge win there for Shotapero. Now a 2-chain from Shotapero gets countered by a 2-chain. Exactly even. Single from Piponeer. 3-chain setup from Shotapero, and he sends it. 3 double counter though from Piponeer, and Piponeer's going to have the advantage. Shotapero's probably going to have to send his main chain soon with the greens. And he clears a 2-chain actually. So he's still not sending his main chain in, he's trying to extend. Piponeer's trying to make him fill up, but Shotapero makes a 3-chain counter, and now Piponeer's in trouble. Piponeer's probably filling up. There's not much he can do here, but Shotapero hasn't followed up yet. Now Shotapero's following up with his main chain. Piponeer has a lot of time to dig, but it's going to be really tough because all the Puyo he has to clear while digging aren't going to be using his main chain, but he's found a way to set off a chain. I don't think it's going to be good enough though. There's not enough in the tail connecting. And Shotapero gets another win. Another really intense battle there, but Shotapero gets another win. And really nice second chain there from Shotapero too. It's now 46 to 48. Piponeer had just pulled it back to even, but Shotapero's kind of pulling away now. I think Shotapero just placed a green in the ghost row to connect his main chain, but I'm not sure. Shotapero clears a big single. It's actually a 2 chain, but it's going to get countered by a 2 chain. And Shotapero just goes with his main chain. Piponeer, I don't know if he can extend and win here. He needs a green-red. He needs exactly green-red, I think. Oh, there's no green in the ghost row in the second column. Otherwise that would have worked too. But now Shotapero's on match point. From the point where is the first to 4, Shotapero's gotten a 3-win streak, and now Shotapero just needs one more win to close it out. Shotapero's got a 4 chain going. Piponeer needs a yellow. He's not gonna get a yellow, but he's got a blue. It's only a 3 chain though, and it looks like this might be it. Shotapero's got a huge advantage here. Piponeer's covered all the way, and there's not much he can do. And Shotapero does get the win, and it ends up 46 to 50 in Shotapero's favor. He's gonna end the league 4-1, but he's gonna be behind Saki in wins. Piponeer still has one more match to play.